Hello and welcome back to Manga Mondays, the only manga review show that today is talking about not only probably my favorite manga that I've covered on this show so far, but maybe one of my favorite manga of all time. Probably my outright favorite comedy manga that I've read, which is Shortcuts by Usamaru Furuya. I had never heard of this. I picked it up just because I happened to see it at the local manga store, and kind of blew my mind. This is actually from the same dude who wrote, no, it's not in there, who wrote that manga Genkaku Picasso. This is nothing like that one at all, but it's a gag comedy manga about exploring the kogal. The kogal being the cold girl or cool girl, this this sort of construct of a Japanese high school aged girl who's really cool, who shops in Shibuya, wears high knee socks, and you know, gossips about nothing, and is just sort of presented as like just a vapid teenaged girl. However, is presented with much reverence in this book, and sort of the running joke, the running theme throughout this book is that kogals are amazing, and everybody loves them. Everybody wants to either be one or to fuck one, essentially. It's a very dark comedy. Every male in this is presented as a gigantic pervert who wants to fuck kogals. Mostly old dudes. And each strip, basically, it's in a page-by-page format where each page is one cut, usually using the same 9-panel structure, though it does break structure here and there. I think this image is what got me to purchase this manga, not even realizing. Like, the last time I purchased a manga because it had a tied-up cute girl in it was Genkaku Picasso, and I did not realize it was the same author. Like, I didn't even make this connection until just now. But, yeah. Basically, each page is an individual story, though some of them span multiple pages, some have recurring characters here and there, but most of them are just random one-shots of total insanity. This is one of the more creative manga I've ever read. The range of gag styles is massive. Sometimes they're extremely surreal, sometimes they're like sort of a social commentary or political commentary, sometimes they're just off-the-wall madness, sometimes they're just lazy, like dumb jokes that are just like a character face falls in poop or something, you know, like it really runs the whole gamut. But it's very sexually explicit. And here, let me try to give you a great example of like a standard shortcut story. Oh, here we go. Cut number 3, while we're still in the color pages. This is great. So this little girl makes a gigantic cock out of clay. And her teacher comes over and says, "What are you making?" And she says, "My dad." The teacher gets hot and bothered, and she's like, "Whoa, he's that huge?" And she says, "Yep, this is life size." And she's like, maybe I should go talk to him after class. Oh man, even if he's half that size, it would still be amazing. She shows up to the door, she's like fucking sweating and like breaking out into hives and shit. She shows up and the dad just literally is shaped like a dick. It's his actual body. That's like a standard Shortcuts joke, though that one doesn't even really involve kogals, whereas most of them do. Some of them just break away into random stuff. But yeah, there's a few recurring characters, like this one girl who ends up being roped into becoming a part of a detective agency, based on the fact that her panties flash sometimes, and so they give her the nickname Panty Flash, hoping that it will stick, and therefore she will continue to flash her panties. And she'll show up in other chapters. Sometimes they try to give her different names to, like at one point they name her Butt Flash, just trying to get her to stop wearing panties. And like all the guys in the detective agency are like drawn hyper realistically, like Initial D characters. My favorite recurring character is this ultra cutesy little girl with giant eyes who is implied to be literally the daughter of Golgo 13. And she has all the powers of Golgo 13, but everything she does is adorable and cutesy. But she is every bit the badass that Golgo 13 is. Yeah, she might be my favorite recurring character. There's just all kinds of madness going on here. Parts are references, sometimes the structure breaks down entirely, sometimes there's like advertisements for here this page is an ad for how old guys can turn into Kogals. Like, it's some kind of tonic that will let you transform into one. And then there's a whole, like, 4-page storyline about a dad who turns into a Kogal, and, like, it's super awkward for the rest of the family. I think it ends up in, like, him and his son and wife all having, like, a 3-way at the end. It's insanity. Here you've got a Kogal model kit, if you wanted something like that. There's all kinds of shit. Some of these, there are certain pages in here that, like, gave me pause. Like, I had to sit there. Hold on, I'm trying to find this one. Here's a great, there's like a Kogal. Oh, it's a giant mountain-sized Kogal. It's the world's largest Kogal. She's just like, oh, there's like a bunch of people worshiping her as like an idol. Okay, I think no, I can't find it. There was one strip in here. Here we go. It's like a 2-page thing about these like feudal era Japanese women playing video games. Like, they're supposed to be Kogals of feudal Japan, but or even earlier. I'm not sure which era this is. I don't know my Japanese history well enough, but they are playing like PS1 games. This manga came out in 1998, so they're playing like games that would be relevant at the time of this manga publishing, except the games are played with humans, like with servants. And it's just like representing the games with servants while still telling like a narrative on top of that. It's just so, this was such a baffling pair of pages that I had to read it like several times to fully grasp the depth of the joke I was looking at. There's lots of random references and shit like that. There's here's a good one. This princess is talking to all these animals and boring them to tears, and afterwards they say, "It's a miracle. Those savage beasts are bored to death." Listening to her drone on and on. The end. And then they say, "Did you like it?" And the movie poster is Princess Monotone. Princess Monotone. Also, the translation of this is really fucking good. They preserved a lot of the original Japanese so that it would, like, this would be incomprehensible if you tried to, like, localize all of it. It kind of takes it on good faith that you are already deeply ingrained into Japanese culture if you want to understand this. And there is a pretty detailed, translator notes at the end of the volume that try to explain some of the more esoteric jokes, as well as an interview with the manga author, which was actually really fascinating because most manga authors do not give the best interviews. They usually give the same few answers. This guy has, like, way more to say about, like, the why and how of his stories coming to be than most. I wanted to read a passage from it because I found this one part really fucking interesting where he just kind of explains the mindset he's taken to expression over time. Because he started out as a classical artist. Like, he'd done manga before, like, growing up, but, like, he went to college to study stuff like oil painting and dance, and he did all these other kinds of, like, more, non-narrative expression, and eventually realized that he wanted to move into narrative. I want to read this part. He says, "I'd thought that the ability of expression lay in the ambiguity of the abstract, but lately I've come to feel that ambiguity can't be expressed to people, and I want all of what I do to be understood by people. With dance or sculpture, the audience perceives part of what the artist attempts to express, but some parts of what the creator wants to express are perceived in different ways, depending on different individuals. This ambiguity might be one of the positive aspects of art, but in the process of creation, I couldn't help thinking, how can I express my thoughts directly as they are? What I put out doesn't get perceived as it is. One method would be, say, with a sculpture hanging on a wall, to hang the piece so that the line of sight of any observer is the same. This would result in the same angle of perception by everyone, but put into practice, everyone still perceives the piece in different ways. That's why even with manga, I don't really like abstract conclusions. I like to decide on a specific conclusion and have everyone understand that ending. And this is how things are done in the manga industry. Nobody goes through these complications. From the beginning, they try to create easily understandable and interesting stories with proper conclusions. Doing things this way is normal, and it's only been about a year since I reached this state of mind. I really enjoyed that quote, and I relate to it pretty strongly as somebody who, when I was younger, like, all I wanted to do was to be, like, an artist in the sense of, like, writing movies or writing books and stuff like that, and eventually what I came to realize is that I just like people to understand exactly what I mean. That's why I ended up turning to more, like, analytical writing and journalistic writing, because I just want to, like, outright explain to people what I'm thinking and have them get it exactly, as opposed to, you know, a more esoteric thing that, like, people have to, you know, interpret and ascribe meaning to. If anything, I'm better at divining the meaning that people sort of tried to communicate in their art, and I think I'm a pretty decent at doing that. But yeah, this is a fucking great manga. I really loved it. Definitely one of my favorite comedy manga and one of my favorite manga of all time. There's only 2 volumes. They've both been released in English in the early 2000s. I don't think they're still in print, but you can get them on Amazon, because I checked. I will have Amazon Associates links in the description. If you buy it using those links, I get a kickback of some kind. It doesn't cost anything extra. People have been begging me to make Amazon Associates links for Manga Mondays. I did actually a couple weeks ago, but this is the first one that was recorded after that, since I record these way ahead of time, with the exception of today's episode, which was recorded the day it's coming out, because I've been too busy reading anime magazines instead of manga. But anyways, yeah. Highly recommend this if you like dark, raunchy, adult comedy that is definitely not politically correct, but it is deliberately so. Here's a great 2-page one about a girl who goes to America, and when she comes back, she acts like an American cartoon character. Oh my god, so much creativity in here between all these different comics. Yeah, can't wait to read volume 2. Check it out. Peace.